The I-Team continues to ask questions in the tragic death of 12-year-old Jacqueline Torres. Her death has reignited the debate about Connecticut's lack of homeschooling regulations and the work of the Department of Children and Families.
As the I-Team started looking into how Connecticut compares to other states, one advocate tells your chief investigative reporter, Sam Smink, that the homeschool community is being wrongly accused. She joins us now with that story. Sam.
A recent legislative report found Connecticut has little to no regulation when it comes to homeschooling, and the requirements that do exist are more voluntary than mandatory. Farmington police say Jacqueline Torres was reportedly homeschooled. The New Britain School District says Torres' mother, Carla Garcia, filled out an intent to homeschool form last August, but some say homeschooling is inappropriately getting blamed. On the state's judicial website, Jacqueline Torres' mother, Carla Garcia, is charged with 7 crimes, including the murder of her daughter. The date of those crimes listed as June 21st, 2024. New Britain superintendent says Jacqueline was withdrawn from school on August 26, 2024, 2 months later.
It would appear on the face of these facts that the abuse, definitely, and the murder happened prior to the date of withdrawal.
That's attorney Deborah Stevenson, founder of the National Home Education Legal Defense.
So to argue, oh, this is a reason why we have to regulate homeschooling is nonsensical.
When asked about the June 21st date, Farmington police say it's just the beginning of a date range in which they believe the crime may have occurred. Police still suspect the murder likely happened in the fall of 2024, but say Jacqueline suffered prolonged abuse and neglect. Connecticut is one of 13 states that has little to no regulation related to homeschooling. The state's child advocate tells us Connecticut is the only New England state where a person can simply notify the district they are withdrawing their child for homeschooling and do nothing more. Every other New England state requires some form of annual evaluation or assessment.
I think the concern is that some people could file an intent to homeschool, never actually homeschool, but instead use that as a cover for potential abuse.
That's not the case we're talking about, okay? What we are talking about today is a case in which, again, this child was enrolled in the public school for kindergarten through 6th grade, if we can believe the superintendent. The abuse and neglect happened while she was enrolled, according to the website of the aunt's charges.
Jacqueline's aunt, Jacqueline Garcia, was also charged in the case, with the state listing her date of offense as June 1st, 2024. We asked the New Britain School District if they were ever informed DCF was involved with the family and if there were any allegations of abuse while the children were in school. The district says state law does not allow them to disclose that information.
Do you believe that it is okay for someone to withdraw their child from school with the intent to homeschool and then nobody ever has to kind of check to make sure that's actually happening?
That is not what the law says. There are many laws that allow DCF to continue to keep the case open in a situation such as this, the alleged facts. In addition, the local public school district has an obligation to once a year find out where the children are being educated who live in the district.
The law does not state how a district is supposed to do that, and it is not clear if that law is being enforced. Stevenson says just like in the Waterbury captivity case, focus should be on Jacqueline's family, DCF, and other state systems. Warrants for the people charged in Jacqueline's death are expected to be released October 28th. We've asked DCF for their records involving the Garcia-Torres family, including when they first became involved with the family and when they last had contact. We also asked DCF if Jacqueline's aunt, Jacqueline Garcia, was allowed to live with her sister's children after getting out of prison in August 2025 for abusing her then 11-month-old. In that case, Jacqueline Garcia did lose custody of her 2 children, according to family members. Your chief investigative reporter, Sam Smink, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.